Welcome to day 2 of our virtual conference. We are glad to have you here with us. I'm Dr. Sandra Weaver Frerichs, and I'm part of the conference planning committee, and I'm also a science educator for Nebraska 4-H. And I've been involved with the Nebraska After School Conference since 2014, when we only held the conference every other year. So this is the very first time that we've had a 3-day conference and the first year for a virtual conference. I'm really hoping that we find some parts of this experience that we're having now that we decide to keep for future years. So let us know what you like about this virtual experience and what you would like to have us keep for the future. Did you know that there is a video library? I know a lot of people found that yesterday, but in case you haven't, there are almost 50 recordings in the library that you can use for your own personal development, and those will only be available until October 16th. After that, we'll be transitioning to the long-term record of the conference. So make sure you check those out and let us know what you're thinking about them. I've already had some of the presenters ask me what people think of their session, if they've gotten any feedback. So they are anxious to hear and to talk with you. Most of the presenters for those recorded sessions are also in the Member Hub. So if you have a question, look for the presenter in the Member Hub and you can ask that of them right away during the conference. Before we get started today, I have a few tips that people shared with me yesterday that might make your experience a little bit better. A lot of people told me that it worked better for them to watch the live sessions through the Zoom link than in the webinar or in the web page, but you can watch them embedded in the web page if you prefer, or you can click on the Zoom link. And they said it was a little bit easier to interact, and it also worked better if they had limited internet access to watch them via Zoom. So try that if you haven't already. Second thing people told me was that they wanted to catch up with a presenter because they lost their Zoom connection and, internet issues in the middle of the session. And so I suggested the member directory as an easy way to send a quick message to anyone who's participating in the conference. And I did get one yesterday, so that was kind of exciting, my first message through the directory. You can find the member directory by clicking on the Event Hub in the upper left-hand part of the website and check that out. That's also how you get to the forum if you're still looking for how to find the forum. Nebraska Extension is one of the organizing partners for this conference and has been for several years. And Kathleen Lodel has joined us today to extend a welcome to you from Nebraska Extension and Nebraska 4-H. Kathleen has been Nebraska's 4-H program administrator since 2011, and she guides Nebraska 4-H in finding innovative and creative ways to engage youth at educational programs that will help them be successful. Thanks for being with us today, Kathleen.
Well, thank you, Sandra, and thanks to all of us who've joined today. It is a perfect time to be in out-of-school time programming, and I want to commend all of you for the things that you do every day. 2020 certainly has been an interesting year, but a real opportunity for the group of us in out-of-school time to rock in a whole different way. I think it's been clearer than ever the importance of wraparound programs, of the out-of-school time, of partnering between out-of-school and in-school. And all of you have come to the plate in unique and amazing ways. Who would have thought last March 1st that we'd be doing lots of our programs virtually? And though that's had a few challenges, it's also had some benefits. As we think about the young people that we were able to engage virtually that otherwise might not have come to a face-to-face program, as we think about the kinds of resources and the kinds of expertise we're able to bring virtually to young people that otherwise might not be available in a face-to-face. And especially as we think about the theme today around environmental education and the playing outdoors and being outdoors, what a perfect time for out of school to make its space and to make itself more known. We think of the things that we do in a different lens than some, is in that we're all about youth development and positive youth development. And while some of you just think that that's part of life and that's part of what everyone does, I think the last 6 months have shown that you do that better than anyone else. And you're thinking about things, especially in the out of school way and in the environmental led way, through the lens of helping young people develop a sense of mastery, a sense of belonging, a sense of confidence. And those are the real skills through that content area that are going to help young people thrive in the next generation. So I commend all of you for that. We in Extension couldn't be more pleased to be a part of this conference and a part of the ongoing conversation with out of school time providers across the state. Many of you know that Extension reaches all 93 counties in Nebraska, and we continue to support youth development in a big way, and we'll continue to do that. We are just putting together in Nebraska Extension a statewide plan for environmental education. We've always done that work, but we want to put together a new plan in new ways, especially in this new world of remote learning. What can we do to bring environmental education and playing outdoors to young people, both face-to-face and remotely? So we're looking forward to that, and we're looking forward to doing that together with you statewide. Another partner with us throughout the years has been the Mott Foundation. And we couldn't be more pleased than to benefit from all of the things that they do with the out of school networks and with all the pieces they do across the state and certainly across the country. We're excited today to have Gwen Hughes join us. Gwen joined the Mott Foundation as a program officer in 2010 and was named a senior program officer 5 years later. She manages the Mott Foundation's largest grant making portfolio, Advancing After School. Isn't that cool for us? Advancing After School supports many different kinds of organizations. It supports things like the Beyond School Bells program here in the state of Nebraska and 50 statewide after school networks. Prior to joining the foundation, Gwen's work focused on policy and practice initiatives supporting children and families. Gwen has a JD from Northeastern University School of Law in Boston, a degree in music, how fun is that, from the University of Virginia in Charlottesville, and actually started as a graduate of Wellesley College. So Gwen, so glad to have you part of today's conversation and to have your work throughout the year. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Kathleen, and thank you for having me here today. I couldn't agree with Kathleen more about how after school and out of school time, expanded learning and summer programs have stepped up to this unique moment in a way that I don't think we have seen many other parts of the system be able to do. And it has been truly remarkable in my 20 years working on policies and programming for low-income kids. I don't think I have seen a point in time where we have been recognized, I think, in the same way and valued. And so what I want to just start with from our point of view at the foundation and from a national perspective is a big thank you to the work that you are doing, and also to perhaps have a little bit of a window into the reality on the ground that what you are experiencing is happening across the country, and the ways that you are meeting these challenges is unique and really helping to lead the way, I think, to create a better educational and youth development system overall for all of our kids. I want to just talk, I know Jody Grant was here yesterday. I want to talk a little bit just about what you have accomplished because I think it can be helpful as we face this next year, which will certainly bring again, new challenges and opportunities for this entire sector. but you can really draw a direct line between the work and innovations that you are creating in Nebraska to some of the amazing accomplishments just over the past couple months. Since the pandemic hit, the amount of meals and food security that this whole sector, your programs included, has provided for kids and families has been remarkable. I remember looking at some statistics just in the first few weeks of COVID-19. Places like Los Angeles and other cities across the country, rural communities like you have in Nebraska, where literally millions of meals were being distributed every week. Without this kind of food security, we families would be much worse off at this point, and we are continuing to do that. There's been, some really fascinating and interesting policy changes that I think, again, are really a direct result of the innovations that many of your programs have accomplished and are doing on the ground. We've seen new flexibilities put in to childcare laws, to the education laws, such as 21st Century, and they're going to really allow for the kind of flexibility that I think families need right now, again, so that we can kind of create these innovative hybrid models to support kids where they are. So that I think is, again, another these examples of how we are demonstrating, I think, not just an ability to meet this challenge, but also coming up with the practical pieces and programming models to help do that. I have to, really sort of give a shout out to the work in Nebraska. Um, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but many of the innovative models that you have designed in this space are on the leading edge of what we're seeing in the country as a whole. I think about the Think, Make, Create labs that were developed and are now spreading to other states. You have come up with these innovative ways to reach kids in rural communities that are often, far too often, left behind. In our federal policy and a lot of our states, urban centers do get prioritized. And what we have been talking about, and I think with your leadership, is how that leaves so many kids in rural communities out who really need the supports. So these kinds of innovations, at the Mott Foundation, we have worked too with Beyond School Bells around youth entrepreneurship. So again, another key piece where we are seeing some innovative models that I think we can scale up and take nationally. That, I just have to underscore that. That just doesn't, we don't see that in every state. And we love all our states equally. Um, it is just exciting to have these models because there's nothing like seeing the possibility in order to encourage others to do it. And I think that what you're creating, just know that you have that power and that it is going to other states and also other communities in Nebraska. So you're seeing a slide here of some pieces that are connected to this that the foundation is working on. We, as Kathleen mentioned, and I know you know from Beyond School Bells and your partners there, uh, we at the foundation have supported this sector for many years, and it really grows out of our commitment to a well-rounded school community partnership approach to kids and families, starting back in the 1930s with the lighted, lighted schoolhouse building and community schools. And you can really trace a lot of our work from that point and our values and what we're looking for. But we never stop thinking about, well, what more could we do? And our president, Ridgway White, is constantly looking at ways to further innovate and provide more tools to this sector. And one of these that we're really excited about, and you may have heard about from Jeff at Beyond School Bells already, is Mizzen by Mott. This is a new online application that is the first of its kind in a content tool specifically geared for after school professionals. So this is not about more screen time for kids. I have my own kids and I know what a struggle that is for our programs and our parents and families. This is really for you, for after school professionals, and it basically contains a lot of different engaging after school content and activities. So we have some of your own partners there already involved in this effort, and I urge you to check it out. I don't know if we could go to the next slide. Here's how you can download it. It's at the App Store. And we also have lots of folks who you can reach out to if you're interested in learning more. We're really looking for new and engaging content because we know we need a lot in order to make this app really live the potential that it has. So please reach out to us, to Jeff, and we will get you connected there. You know, I wanted to say a few words in closing about what's ahead, and want to encourage, I think, and recognize the overall approach towards partnership. I love the title of this conference because I can't imagine a better theme for this coming year for all of us in terms of getting and staying connected. These challenges that we're facing and more importantly, our kids are facing are unprecedented. Um, but we believe strongly that if we can work together through collaboration, through partnerships, through trying new models, that we will be able to not only meet the needs, but potentially help really reimagine what this whole system can look like and help to define it. So I want to really encourage you to tell your stories that we're going to need. I also, you know, not to be too optimistic, but we could see potentially more funding in this sector because there is a greater recognition. So I think we need to be prepared for that. Start thinking now, start talking to your policy leaders, to your community leaders about how you might engage in that and how you might actually want to define that. There's a quote I like by a famous baseball player. Now a lot of my family's in Boston, so I know there might be some strong feelings about the Red Sox. And then I grew up in New York, so I also know there's very strong feelings about the Yankees. But you might be familiar with Wade Boggs, who the point is, he is actually born in Omaha. And he said, our lives are not determined by what happens to us, but how we react to what happens. Not by what life brings us, but the attitude we bring life. I'm so proud, and we are so proud at the Mott Foundation at how you have responded to the needs of families in this time. And we really look forward to working with all of you in the times ahead to continue to do that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Gwen, and thank you for that closing thought. That's something to think about as we prepare for our day today. What are we going to bring with us to this day? Thank you. Yesterday, we focused on equity and inclusion and developing an entrepreneurial mindset. Today, one of our themes is emotional wellness, or emotional health and wellness, and Carrie Gottschalk is here to help us reflect on how this theme impacts our work. Carrie is an educator and an engagement zone coordinator for Nebraska Extension. She develops and delivers programs and resources to positively impact children and their families in a 6-county region in the southeast part of our state. Her work empowers Nebraskans to improve their lives. Thank you for joining us, Carrie.
Moved. Okay, thanks for having me. My screen moved when I was trying to unmute, so I had to catch up with it. So thank you so much for having me. I am very honored for the opportunity to speak very briefly about such an important topic. I cannot express how wonderful it is to see the topic of emotional health and wellness as one of the tracks for the conference, supported by over a dozen sessions. This topic has been important and relevant for years, but honestly never as relevant and important as it is today. Global economist Thierry Malaret explained how despite our era of historic economic abundance, and this is of course prior to COVID, depression, anxiety disorders, loneliness, addiction, and suicide were all still skyrocketing. So much so that at the time, the World Health Organization had forecasts that by 2030, the largest health risk on Earth would be depression, not obesity. And again, like I had stated, that was prior to COVID-19 and what we've endured now through 2020. So in light of this year's events, there is speculation and concern of a very real mental health crisis following the global pandemic. People everywhere are experiencing significant levels of stress and feelings of apprehension, anxiety, loneliness, and depression. The conference track is twofold, and it is offering sessions that both help support the emotional health and well-being of youth, as well as sections dedicated specifically to your mental health and well-being. So the research is clear why emotional health and wellness is critical for youth. In 2019, data provided by the Center on Disease Control and Prevention on children's mental health reported that 1 in 6 children between the ages of 2 and 8 had a diagnosed mental, behavioral, or developmental disorder. And behavior problems are more common among children ages 6 to 11 than children younger or older. These statistics are, of course, important for a variety of reasons. One is many of the youth that you are caring for are between the ages of 5 and 12. And the other reason this data is important is because it is from 2018. And so again, we can imagine the shift that we have experienced with what has occurred this year. So students experiencing uncertainty, insecurity, and challenges outside of school more often than not bring those difficulties with them. It is increasingly common to see children of all ages exhibiting evident emotional and behavioral challenges, both in and outside the classroom. Children are struggling to make sense of and manage their emotional experiences. They're struggling to make friends, concentrate, follow directions, stay on task, and accept feedback or correction. Children are exhibiting more extreme reactions, including defiance, profanity, and aggression towards self and others. However, violent behaviors in youth are not senseless, and they are not beyond our understanding. They arise from children reflecting the world in which they have been raised. It is critical that all adults working with youth learn the role emotions and mental health play in the lives of each and every one of their students. Adult interactions, responses, and interventions have become increasingly and consistently have to become increasingly and consistently trauma-informed. In a quote by Dr. Bruce Perry, he states, "The more healthy relationships a child has, the more likely he or she will be, to recover from trauma and thrive. Relationships are the agents of change, and the most powerful therapy is human love." So mental health awareness is an important issue for all educators, who are often the first line of defense for students. Education professionals have recognized the impact of a student's mental health, that it has on learning and achievement, and they realize that there's a great deal that can be done to help students with mental health challenges. But this time, effort, and commitment comes at a price for adults working in this field. Adults, too, are under increasing levels of stress. Adults are spread and stretched too thin. You are all either asked to or are asking yourselves to be all things to all people. And either that, or some have already reached the tipping point, and adults are disengaging and detaching because there's nothing left to give. Youth work is critical in ensuring students have safety, stability, and love from caring adults in their lives outside of their homes. But in order to do this, all of the adults working in this field also need to know that they have safety, stability, and love from caring others outside of their lives, in their lives outside of their homes and their families. Stress management and self-care is not self-indulgence, and it's not selfish. It is an absolute necessity. Self-care has been reported to be the most significant preventative measure that direct care workers can take to protect themselves against compassion fatigue and burnout. We have to come together under collective agreement to both reach towards one another and reach inward to care for ourselves with patience and compassion. The children you support are incredibly fortunate to have you and deserve your best, but not at the expense of your own mental health and well-being. In order to bring your best to others, you have to start by giving that best to yourself. So mental health reflects how we think, how we feel, and act because it includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It determines how we deal with stress, how we make choices, how we relate to ourselves, and how we relate to others. From childhood to adulthood, mental wellness is important at every stage of life. So our hope is that you will take advantage of the offerings being brought to you today, either as a first step or as one of many steps in your journey towards awareness, education, and self-care as you begin or continue in your career of caring for others. And I would also like to lift up, while Gwen was speaking, I jotted down some of her final thoughts, and I would like to have a ditto and lift those back up, where she had stated, believe strongly in collaboration, partnerships, and trying new models. Not only meet the needs, but reimagine what this whole system could look like. Optimistically, we could see more funding because there is awareness and recognition. And all of that is also incredibly true in how we are caring for ourselves and one another in the work that we do. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Carrie. And again, thank you to Gwen, both of you, for really reinforcing this message that we have so much to offer, but we need to also look at where we're at ourselves. Our second theme for today is environmental and outdoor education. And we're lucky to have Lindsay Rogers here to speak with us on this theme. Lindsay's the Division Administrator for Nebraska Game and Parks and Wildlife, Nebraska Game and Parks Fish and Wildlife Education Division. She and her amazing team of educators are responsible for coordinating, implementing, and teaching all Nebraskans about our natural resources, ecology, and getting outside. Lindsay's passionate about sharing her love of nature and environmental science with students of all ages. I think many of you have been in workshops that Lindsay's led in the past, and now we're happy to have her speak with us in this new role as Division Administrator. Thank you, Lindsay.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is truly an honor to be able to speak to all of you. And I just want to reiterate how wonderful it is that we are able to come together in a virtual way. And really, I've been reading through all the comments in the chat section, and it just is a reminder that now more than ever, we need to be connecting with each other. And so the Get Connected conference is critical to being able to do that. I will say that I prepared some slides because I can ramble and I can talk. And so I need to have them for me, but also I'm a visual learner and I recognize that a lot of people are visual learners. And so for me, it helps to have some slides to keep me on task. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen quickly and go from there. I hope you all can see this quick little PowerPoint that I wanted to put together. And really, I wanted to talk a little bit about environmental education and what it is, and then a little bit on how to do it. And I'm so glad that Carrie talked about the mental health aspect, because I also am, at the end, we'll talk about how really mental health and environmental education are partners, and they work together so well to enhance the mental well-being of our students across the state. So the question is, what is environmental education? And there's a couple key pillars or principles that are really important to environmental education. And the first one is that it should provide both knowledge, like that background knowledge, and also skills. So it's one thing to provide our students with basic knowledge, but it's a whole nother thing to get them to understand the practice of being a conservationist or getting outside and doing outdoor recreation. And so it's got to be both knowledge and skills. It's not enough to be able to teach kids basic skills if they don't know what to do with that or they don't know how to act upon that. Let's see. It really should take people on this spectrum. And this to me is the most exciting part of it. I love seeing people move along this spectrum from basic awareness. We want people to be aware that there are natural resources in our state, and there's a lot of them, and that there is wildlife, and there is stuff outside. We also want them to know that there are outdoor recreation opportunities. And so we just want them to be aware of what's going on in the world around them. And then we want to take them on this path to understanding. So understand what these natural resources mean, or what climate change means for agriculture, and start looking at a deeper understanding, and then move that into action. And so being able to use this understanding and those skills that we are teaching them to be able to put that into action. Environmental education should really focus on all learners, and I can't stress this enough. And at the Game and Parks Commission, we are currently undertaking big efforts to be able to expand our outreach to some of our typically underserved audiences, but really all ages. So birth to death is generally the way I like to put it, because you know, whether you're 95 or 9, it's stuff to learn. And we want everyone to be learning regardless of their age, gender, sexual orientation, where they are. Are they rural or urban? And we want students, regardless of all of this, to be able to learn from environmental education. It really, and again, this is another one that I love, is interdisciplinary. And this is a wonderful opportunity to be able to learn about biodiversity while also counting species and learning about transects. And that's math. And so, and while we do that, we can start talking about the human interaction, and that's social studies. So all of this together is what's going to get critically thinking students. And that's the power of environmental education, is that it's not math for 20 minutes and then reading for 20 minutes and then, you know, science for 20 minutes. It's really looking at all of this together and how it works together, which I will say sounds very overwhelming, but once you start thinking about it, it actually makes your job a whole lot easier, because it really opens up the opportunities and the breadth of what you can teach kids. It should be experiential. So ideally, it's not necessarily in the after school program. So we're not inside in the gym or in the cafeteria. We're outside and we're looking at things, and we're exploring, and we're digging holes, and we're looking at the different plants, and we're exploring how these plants change over time. Or maybe we're finding some crazy insects. I will say it's a good time to find praying mantises right now. So it's getting outside. And again, I need you to recognize that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have like this grandiose garden. I've done environmental education. I kid you not, there's an elementary school in Lincoln. It has since changed, but it had, instead of grass, gravel. like fence to fence, building to street, gravel. And we did environmental education. It doesn't need to be a grand, beautiful park. You can do it anywhere, which brings me to the most important part. It's local. So in Western Nebraska, it's talking about beet farms because that's what's in Western Nebraska. In Central Nebraska, it's talking about irrigation and how irrigation and rivers work together. In Eastern Nebraska, in Omaha area, for example, it might be talking about Eastern deciduous forest because that's the ecoregions that's there. But even more local than that, it's talking about what you have at your school site. And this is really important because it provides students a strong sense of place. And that is important because we need kids to know where they're from and who they are to give them that confidence to be able to go explore the world. So first we got to figure out who we are and where we come from, and that's important. And even more important, maybe, is pride of place. We want Nebraska students to be proud of where they're from because dang, it's cool. I mean, maybe it's just me that thinks this is cool. I think it's super cool that Western Nebraska grows so many beets. Like, I don't know why I think that's so cool, but I think it's super cool when we start talking about the different crops or the different ecoregions, or even the fact that Western Nebraska has crossbills, but Eastern Nebraska doesn't have it, but Eastern Nebraska has cardinals and Western Nebraska doesn't. So starting looking at those differences and being proud of where you are from. So we talked a little bit about environmental education and what it is, but now I want to talk real quick about how to do it. And so I've developed a top 10 list because if you are old like me, you used to watch The Late Show with Dave Letterman and his top 10, and you really looked forward to his nightly top 10 list because they were absurd and they were silly, and yet they were really funny and they were poignant and on top. So I have come up with my own top 10 list of how to do environmental education. And I'm going to run through these fairly quickly because you're going to see mine is also silly and absurd. So the first one is try and fail, because that's really how it works. Is you're going to say, I'm going to take all the kids outside and it's going to be amazing. And then all of a sudden Billy runs off and Susie's over here crying. And that's how it works. It fails. It totally fails. And then you're going to try again and you're going to fail again. And that's how it's going to work. Yep, you're going to try again and it's going to fail again. And you think, oh, I might have it, but nope, another fail. You are starting though to learn. You're starting to learn when I go outside, I need to give my students parameters. Okay, your boundaries today are the building on this side and the sidewalk on this side and the fence on this side. Okay, so there's our boundaries. Go. Really, the lesson was probably still a little bit of a failure, but hey, we're learning, we're getting it. Then we're gonna use that lesson learned. I'm gonna establish my boundaries. It's starting to get a little bit better, right? We're starting to actually take away some lessons from this. It's getting a little bit better. Again, I'm using all the lessons that I, as an educator, have learned to be a better teacher. This one wasn't bad, right? Maybe things are working and finally you get success, right? This is how environmental education works because, quite honestly, this is how learning works. We fail all the time. Failing is really just your first attempt in learning. And so it's okay to take kids outside and fail. If you think about outside learning, when kids enter elementary school, when they enter, really, quite honestly, if they're in a preschool, we take them outside for what? Recess. We take them outside for crazy, wild, fun time, and they get to run around. They aren't necessarily taken outside for fun and learning. So what you end up seeing is that students are conditioned to learn that when I go outside, it's wild, crazy, free time. So then as a teacher, when I take them outside and I am trying to actually implement a lesson, oh, it's a failure. It's terrible. But eventually we can retrain our students and ourselves, quite honestly, as teachers, on how to do outside crazy fun recess time and then outside learning. And there is a difference, and we don't mean to say that outside learning isn't fun, and it's not, maybe a little bit crazy, which is good, but we need to retrain how we think about being outside. It is that growth mindset that will really help you be a better environmental educator. So I want, like I said, to chat a moment about some of the mental and physical health. And I'm a big fan of research because I'm a big fan of science, and I like the science, and I like the numbers, and I like the studies, and I trust in science. And so if we look, there is a study that said increased feelings of happiness. So when we take kids outside, and by the way, this also works for you as an educator. We hope that if your kids are going outside, your students are going outside, you are going with them, right? That's generally a positive thing for education. And so we also, as adults, as teachers, get that benefit of spending time in nature. Increased happiness in feelings of happiness. You just feel happier. Increased creativity and problem solving. So when we start to look big picture, and we start to look at what we want our students to be able to do in the end, like what is our ultimate goal of education, it's really to help our students succeed in life, which means we would like them to get a job of some sort. We don't care what that job is, but we want them to be a productive member of society. Well, when we start to look at what executives and managers are seeking, they want problem solving, they want creativity. So time outside, and I do point this, unstructured time outside is really important, because while we do want to take students outside for really good learning, we also want to provide them those unstructured times. And I point out that basketball and kickball are not unstructured times. That's a very structured game. So just free play outside, or letting students make up their own games, because I will point out, I'm going to venture a guess that y'all have played, or a lot of you have played, a game with students that the students make up, like an outside game, like a version of tag versus Red Rover versus this, and they like blend it all together and you play it with them. And I asked this at a lot of workshops. I said, how many of you have done this? And of course, a lot of people raised their hand. And I said, how many of you as educators like doing this? And there's very few people that really love playing those games with students. And I ask why, and the answer is always the same. It's because the students change the rules. When the student starts to lose, they change the rules, right? And when you are playing the game, oh, that's really annoying. But when you start to think about why students are doing it, it's really just problem solving. They're losing the game, so they change the rules, right? And that allows them that unstructured free play, making up games, exploring, wondering, allows them to be creative and then solve their problems. Their solution might be a little annoying to us, but it is a solution. I also like to point out that if we are playing a game, whether it be a board game or a physical game like kickball, there's a right way and a wrong way to play those games, right? But when we start to have unstructured time in nature, there is no right way or wrong way to explore a fallen log. There is no right way or wrong way to cross a creek. There is no right way or wrong way to, do some exploration. And that, again, is going to promote creativity and problem solving. And really better overall health. So you can see on the bottom of this screen, the numbers or the statistics on this one are huge. And actually I combined like 15 slides down into one slide for this one, because reduced blood pressure, better sleep, reduced obesity, reduced diabetes, decreased stress. It's just amazing what the health benefits of spending time in nature are. And more kindness. This was a relatively new study. People are more caring and positive when they are exposed to and around nature. So we need more kindness, and this is a way to get it. You might not see it when you are there, but over time we will start to see more kindness, more empathy skills when students are in nature and looking at wildlife. I'm going to stop sharing there. and let you know that the Game and Parks Commission is here as a resource to you. And there is a lot of resources out there. There is a shocking amount of environmental education going on in the state of Nebraska. And we as a state have a much to be proud of in that effort. And so I want you to reach out to, whether it's Game and Parks or the Forest Service or the university or Extension or whoever is in your community. There is a lot of people out there that are ready and willing to help you get started or go deeper into this journey of environmental education. And I encourage you to do it. The rewards are huge. If not for an educational sense or a science of teaching science, then really from an emotional health and a well-being standpoint. So thank you very much. And yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay. We've already had questions about people who like your slides and would like to have a copy of them. Is that okay with you for us to
Absolutely.
share those?
Yep, you can absolutely share those.
That's a great reminder that the emotional health and physical health and being outdoors are all connected, and that there's research that shows us how to do this and how to be successful after we fail many times.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to encourage everybody. You're doing a great job, honestly. Like I said, Nebraska has so much to be proud of. So yeah, keep doing good stuff.
Thank you. Can I have the slide up from the forum? I want to encourage everyone to keep these conversations going, to take what Lindsay and Carrie and Gwen have shared with us today, reflect on it, share your thoughts, and hear or read what other people are thinking as well. It's really important for us to not just participate in this conference, but to reflect on what we're doing. And the forum gives us a great place to do that. To get to the forum, all you need to do is click on the Event Hub button in the top part of the web page, and then click on the forum post button to our image to share your thoughts on the forum and see what other people are thinking as well. This is also an opportunity to learn from one another. We want to be sure that you share what you've learned the hard way through your experience with the rest of us. I heard over and over from our speakers this morning that relationships are important, partnerships are important, and supporting one another, being there for our colleagues is important, and the forum is a way that you can do that. Thanks once again to our speakers. I really feel like I'm ready to start the day, and I'm excited. We have something else to get excited about this morning. We have some prizes to share. If you did not have time to complete the evaluation today, that's okay. You can do another one. But we are going to draw from those names of people who completed the evaluation so that they can get recognized. We've got our conference organizers have donated prizes. You might get a solar oven kit. You might get a Mars Base Camp kit. You might get a family engineering and family science book set. So let's see who our winners are. Let me write that down, or somebody write in the chat so that we remember that Michelle Kusi will win a prize. We have 4 more to give away. Oh, Michelle's even here. It's not, thank you. Let's spin again. Jessamine, wonderful. I'm gonna have somebody type that in the chat so we remember to send Jessamine Johnson a prize. Thank you. I appreciate all the helpers I have today. All right, 3 more prizes to go. Let's see who gets the next one. I love that our winners have all been on today. Rena Williams, you get one too. All right. Give somebody a chance to type Rena's name in the chat so that we keep that. And let's stop. Becky Zesson, thanks for taking time to do a survey and to get a prize. We'll get that mailed out to you. I think we have 1 more prize to give away today. Let's see who that goes to. Oh, Marcia, you just missed it. The prize goes to Jackie Olson. Thank you so much. So remember to be in the drawing tomorrow. You do need to take time to fill out the survey, and we'll have that link in the chat here so you can get to today's survey. We're learning from you as we go. So we want that feedback right away so we can know what you're enjoying about the conference and what is making things useful for you and what you'd like to see done differently. All right, a few tips for you today about getting the most from your conference. I have 4 things you can do today that will help you get the most out of the conference experience. The first one is to make sure you've got your profile set up. And if you can, add a picture. We would really like to be able to see you when we click on that event hub. You don't have to have a profile in order to participate in the conference, but it really does help make connections and helps us connect to one another. And it takes a little bit more effort to build these relationships when we're connected virtually. So we want everybody to take time to put in that effort and set up their profile and add a picture if you can. Second thing is to take time to look at the discussions going on in the forum and to share your ideas. Again, this is about putting out that effort to connect virtually with one another. We don't have time, or we're not able to have those great chats we might have in the hallway or while we're waiting in line for our lunch. So we need to make the effort to go into the forum and chat and share our thoughts. This is a very topsy-turvy year and nobody really knows what to expect from 2020, but we do know that we can learn from one another. As Gwen mentioned earlier, you have really been innovative. You have put the young people in your programs first, and you have tried and failed and tried and succeeded in finding new ways to meet the needs of the youth and the families that you serve. And we would really like you to share with us both your successes and your lessons learned from failures so that we can put that information to use in other programs. Gwen mentioned how important it is for us to tell our stories, especially now in the context of everything being new and different. We need to be able to speak up about what we're doing and what the impact is. So use the forum as a place to do that. My third tip is to make sure you make good use of the schedule or event access page. That page is designed to make it easy for you to access any of the live sessions that you want to attend. In addition to the plenary session like this one, there are live workshops each morning at 10:30 Central, 9:30 Mountain Time, and in the afternoon at 1 p.m. Central or noon Mountain Time. You also still have time to register for today's 10:30 hands-on workshop, Solar Energy and Outdoor Learning. Just go to the schedule page and click on the $ next to that workshop, and you can register and have access to that workshop where we have limited participation, and everyone who registers for that workshop will get the Solar Energy curriculum and kit from Beyond School Bells. So take time to do that, and also to look at tomorrow's hands-on workshop, which includes the Growing Up Wild curriculum. So you may want to sign up for that one as well. The schedule will also take you to our live networking sessions in the afternoons. Today's networking event is led by Jesse Coffey from Nebraska Department of Education, and it will include ideas for healthy snacks that you can use at home or in your after-school program. She'll be demonstrating some team building activities and some fun and easy snack ideas. If you have the supplies ready, you'll be able to make those snacks along with Jesse. And you should have an email that came last night from ESU 7 with that shopping list for things that you need to have on hand if you want to make snacks along with Jesse this afternoon. Finally, my fourth tip is that if you have any technical questions about the conference, if you're having problems with anything, check out the FAQ at the bottom of the webpage. It's got a great list of how-to instructions on using that site. And there's also a tech support email down there. If your question isn't covered in the FAQ, DCPV 360 has a great tech support team, and they will be there for you. Again, highlights for today, you need to decide at 10:30 whether you want to do the Solar Energy and Outdoor Learning Workshop or the Easy Peasy Art Pleasy Workshop. And if neither of them is what you're fired up about, there are also lots of recorded sessions that you can find in the video library. And we're really lucky that we have lots of expertise here in Nebraska. So there's a lot of sessions recorded by our Nebraska experts, but there's also national experts that have put sessions in those recorded libraries. So check that out. If you are attending the Easy Peasy Arts Pleasy workshop, check the list of supplies that are in the description of that workshop. You don't have to have those supplies in order to participate, but you'll get a lot more out of it if you have the supplies handy. So check that out before 10:30. This afternoon, we're going to be thinking a lot about keeping kids and staff in our program healthy and well. So don't miss the Health at Home workshop from Catch Global Foundation or that networking event with Jesse. Tomorrow, our theme is entrepreneurship. And I just want to give you a little bit of a highlight of things to keep in mind for tomorrow. If you missed the yoga session this morning, MC did a wonderful job with us in her live session today, but tomorrow she's got 2 great videos recorded for you, so you can check out one of those videos for tomorrow's morning wellness session. We've also got some unique things we're going to be implementing tomorrow, including the youth marketplace. You can even sneak in there today if you want to see what is in the youth marketplace and what that's all about. And the Youth Entrepreneurship Experience is tomorrow afternoon. And that is something that we can only offer because this is a virtual conference. So look at that session. It's designed to let staff and youth learn about entrepreneurship together. It is likely to fall, at least part of it, during your program time with young people. It starts at 3 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Mountain, and it's a 90-minute session with some hands-on entrepreneurship activities. So look through the description of that event to find the supplies that you'll want to have on hand tomorrow afternoon so that your staff and youth in your after-school program can have this great entrepreneurship experience together. And also, as you're looking at what to gather, make sure you have everything you need for the mixology happy hour tomorrow so that you can make your own cocktail or mocktail with help from our instructor, our live instructor. That was a lot to cover. I just want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors that really have made this conference possible. And you can find out more about each of these sponsors in the virtual lounge. Thank you to Verizon, STEM Next, Nebraska Environmental Trust, Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services, and the Mott Foundation for supporting us and letting us bring this virtual conference to you. Finally, there's a link in the chat box. Don't forget to take time to fill out that evaluation today. Click on the link now so that you have it, or you can scan this slide right here with your phone and it'll open it up. You don't have to complete the evaluation today, but you want to get that link now so that you can complete it later after you've had some great experiences today and tried out these different features of our virtual conference. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. I look forward to seeing you in one of the 10:30 workshop sessions. Welcome.